All right, so I am at the driving range today. I got some different clubs, different lengths. Most of my stuff is one length, but I've got two different sets. One set is cut to about a 7.5, somewhere between a 7 and a 6 iron. The other set is cut to an 8 iron. Heads are different from one to the other, so lofts will vary. Also got a couple of drivers. My driver and my wife's driver. Her driver is exactly the same thing as what I hit. It's just about 3 or 4 inches shorter than mine. So we're going to take a couple of swings with everything, see how it all lines up. So I'm starting with the drivers, and what we've got here, two of the same club, and you can see same shaft. The only difference is, the difference in how long the club is. So this one, in theory, should generate a little bit more club head speed than this one. I would bet that because this one is shorter, probably going to have a little bit more of a draw / hook with this. We're going to hit them both and see how they go. So let's start with the shorter driver. Again, this one is cut to about 43, so probably about the length of what would be my normal 3 wood. And this test isn't going to go very far. The face looks like it's caving in, but unfortunately it looks like my comparison right now is no good. Why is it doing that? This is really where I wanted to get into the differences that length and loft and everything like that, club design. This is a Pinhawk 7 iron, single length. It is cut to the length of about an 8 iron. This is an in one zone 7 iron. And when I built these, I cut them at about a 7, maybe 7.5. So it's closer to somewhere between a 7 and a 6. You can see the size difference. This club should generate more club head speed. This one should be a little bit slower. The loft on this one is about 35 degrees. This one is 31. So we're going to see what these two completely different clubs do. Then I'm going to switch over and do some kind of like apples to apples comparisons. And so 3 or 4, maybe 5 shots off the deck with each club. Kind of see how far they're carrying, which direction they're going, consistency, how easy they are to hit. Previous club carried about 130, 135, which is right exactly where I would expect that club to go. So now I'm going to test it against my in one zone 7 iron, like I said, cut a little bit longer to about a 7, maybe a little bit longer than that. So about 3/4 of an inch longer than my Pinhawks. And we're going to see what kind of carry distance this one has. So this is carrying about 140 yards, which I would expect it to be a little bit stronger than my Pinhawk, simply because it's 4 degrees less lofted. So 31 versus 35. So this wasn't really an apples to apples comparison. This was a 7-iron to 7-iron comparison. The 7-irons are just two different ballparks. This would be closer to the 6-iron in my Pinhawk set. It's about a club stronger than what my current set plays. So now I'm going to hit the 8-iron in my one zone set. This is the same exact loft. Both my 7-iron in my Pinhawk set and this club are both 35 degrees, so about 3/4 of an inch longer than my 7-iron in my other set. Everything being equal, I would expect this to do about what the Pinhawk did, but the fact that it's a little bit long, we're going to see if that equates to a little bit more carry distance. So let's see what this does. All right, so this club is almost identical to the 7-iron in my Pinhawk set. I originally aimed for the 150 marker, as if I was going to get an 8-iron to 150 yards. Came up short, aimed at the 140, again, came up short, aimed at the 130 and put it where just about every single shot with my Pinhawk 7-iron ended up. Pretty similar. And this is, like I said, about 3/4 of an inch longer. That isn't equating to any additional distance or any additional carry. I don't know how it would react if it hit an actual green, but I do know that the carry distance is almost identical. I'm not just going to leave it at the 7 and the 8 being almost identical. I am going to go one more club. I'm going to do the 8-iron out of my Pinhawk set, the 9-iron out of my one zone set. Both are about 39 degrees, so they should be fairly similar. The only difference is that 3/4 of an inch in the club length. All right, so I am aiming right at the 130 marker. We're going to see how this one flies. Hold a little left. That one was thinner than Quentin Love. Oh, that one was hit harder than Nate Diaz. So now we're going to take out the 9-iron. Compare that to the right about 120 yard length that the 8-iron in the Pinhawk went, and see where this one falls. Oh, if Chuck Norris was a golf shot. Oh, if Donald Trump and Mr. T had a baby. Oh, Kenny Russell Jr., he got a hold of that one. Oh, the price was right, Mitch. So this one also right about 120 yards. So there's not a whole lot of discrepancy between the clubs in yardage based on the length of the club. For the most part, the clubs that are lofted similarly are going to go about the same distance. I'm not getting anything additional by having an extra 3/4 of an inch on this club versus the next club that's lofted the same. This one says 9 on the bottom. That one says 8 on the bottom. 7 versus 8. It really boils down to what the club is lofted at. I mean, if you're going from set to set to set to set to set, your 9-iron may be lofted 3 different ways. Look at the club, look at the loft, understand where you're playing. The yardages that I'm hitting these clubs are not gaining much based on the length of the club. It's almost entirely based on the loft of the face. So takeaway from that is the length really isn't doing a whole lot, at least for me. I wish I'd had a little bit more time to compare driver to driver, but as you can see, this one is not in the best of shape. So I think every time I hit this, it just got worse. Iron-wise, the biggest thing for my shots was what was the loft. The longer clubs had a little bit more a right to left movement than the shorter ones, just because of the lie. They were towed up a little bit, so that's automatically, going to make the ball go to the left just a little bit more. I used to plan for that shot when I used those irons quite a bit. Distance-wise, I didn't gain anything by having that extra 3/4 of an inch. The loft went along with the loft. 35 hit as far as a 35, 39 hit as far as a 39. I have never liked relying on a number on the bottom of that sole in order to say this is the club I'm going to use here because it's a 9-iron. Basically, the takeaway from everything is, A, check your gear before you go out or you get to wherever you're going to go, and then you have smashed up pieces of equipment. And B, I didn't gain anything from the length of the clubs. So I really didn't expect that outcome. I thought that I would gain at least a few yards from one to the next. There are variables like face construction and everything like that. So that may be, playing into it. It is what it is, play your game, know where your clubs go. Until then, we'll see you on the next one. I'm going to get out on the golf course, hit some golf balls. We'll take you guys along, do some more comparisons with some different things. So until then, hit them hard, but don't hit them often. And if you do like this kind of stuff, make sure you like, subscribe, so we can keep the